Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today we're playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I held off on picking this game up for a little while. The reviews seem good. I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, but
who or what it is, but if it's a threat, I'll get rid of it.
I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was worth $60. But after playing it over the last day or so, it's a really pleasant game. I mean,
If I'm going to fight, this might be a good opportunity to see how effective my training's been.
I don't know exactly how great it is if you're not at all knowledgeable or interested in Dragon Ball Z. But for people like me that watched it as a kid
Much power.
and kept up interest with it
That's one
over
of
the
those
years,
freaks from the world tournament. What are those bones?
it really is like the best
Looks like
Dragon Ball Z
someone wants to
story
die.
game that I've played. The combat isn't crazy involved
Looks
or
like
anything,
someone wants to die.
but it feels flashy, it feels satisfying. And it's just going through like the whole story.
Little village, huh? That might cause problems for the kids' training. Ooh, energy from this thing is incredible.
And there's these open world elements, and you can gather ingredients and fish and cook stuff. I like any game that has cooking in it, so that's fine. So yeah, for a Dragon Ball Z fan, it's a treat. It's a treat so far. I don't know, does it contain like the whole entire Dragon Ball Z story? Like through the Buu saga? That would be pretty awesome. That put some
Looks like
time into this
someone wants
already,
to
and
die.
we haven't even gotten to Vegeta and Nappa yet, so
Looks like someone wants to die.
yeah, it was so far it seems worth the money.
Looks like someone wants to die.
Yeah, I was on the fence too, like I said, but
Looks like someone wants to die.
if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan at all and you don't mind some open world stuff, it's a really just pleasant game. All right. So this week I got a new kitten. I named him Locke. Mostly after Locke Lamora. But Locke Cole, I mean, that's a good character too. It's been pretty interesting. I haven't had a kitten in quite a while. And I have two cats here who are fairly old.
This'll end it.
One is like 13 or so, the other's like 9.
This'll end it.
So I've been saying that I basically threw Locke into an old folks home. Because, he's just sprinting around, bouncing off walls and stuff, and these
Looks like someone wants to die.
old fogies are just
Ready whenever you are.
watching
Let's
them.
do this. Don't kid yourself. You could never beat me.
He he's very tiny. You know, he had some medical issues over the last month or so before I got him. He had like pneumonia and he had ear infection, eye infection. He like lost a couple pounds, which for a kitten is not good. He was skin and bones for a little while.
Hmm. Looks like someone wants to
But
die.
you know, if you watched him now,
Let's do
you'd
this.
never even know that he had problems. He's small, but he's a kitten. I wouldn't say skin and bones.
Smash over and don't kid yourself. You could never beat me.
Nah, I wouldn't say I'm a weeboo. I mean, I like some anime, but it's really just like, you know, growing up, Toonami was just a thing to watch. You know, it was on the Cartoon Network, which was my primary channel for quite a while. And so they just started showing Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, well, look at this weird cartoon. Holy shit. It's pretty awesome. Because, you know, I was in Taekwondo for most of my youth. You know, we had a bit of a family of martial artists, so we sort of, you know, my brother and I connected with Dragon Ball Z a little bit because it was about martial artists. You know, a little different, but still, it was cool. And it was just a cool show, and I mean that was our only exposure to Japanese animation, but it wasn't that like strange and out there. It was just a cool show. So anyways, so yeah, Locke is doing well. I kept him sort of isolated to my bedroom for the first day. Um, so the other cats could sense, they could know that there's some other creature in their home, but they couldn't just like pounce on them or anything like that. So the first night was a little rough because he was locked in my room. The other cats were locked out of my room, which has never happened to them before. So there was some stress. Then the second day, I let him have free reign of the house. And that's where he really got to meet the others. Kitty, my eldest cat, he just
Energy from this thing is incredible. Whoa. This power is amazing.
he treated Locke with just pure animosity. At the start, if they were in the same room and Kitty saw Locke, there would just be nonstop hissing until he left. Then gradually it was like, okay, they can be in the same room, but if Locke comes within like 10 feet, there's hissing. Then it became like 5 feet, there's hissing. This never bothered Locke at all. He would basically just like sprint past him on purpose just so he'd hiss at him. I think Locke thought it was amusing. And so at this point, Kitty has stopped hissing pretty much entirely, unless Locke jumps on him. But I think Locke knows at this point that Kitty's not really the playful buddy. My other cat, Boogle, at first, who is normally terrified of everything, it turns out he was terrified of Locke, even though he's like 3 times his size. Anytime Locke would come near him, he would just sprint away. This, of course, greatly amused Locke, so Locke took to chasing him around the house because, you know, he was scared. At this point, I think they're getting more playful Boogle isn't running, and they sort of like spar with each other. Boogle can't quite match Locke's energy, but it's getting pretty good at this point, and they're all sort of getting along. So that's nice. Yeah, Locke, you know, at that age where he just sort of chews on everything. So a lot of chewed cords. And he very quickly developed a habit of clawing his way up the back of my computer, which is not good on many levels. So I tried to just like swat him away, but that doesn't mean anything to a kitten. So now I have walled off my computer with various boards, and that seems to have solved the problem. He still pops up on my desk from time to time, which is not normally too bad, except if I'm recording, then it's a problem. The only other real issue with him is that he's very gassy, which I guess is due to the change in his diet. But yeah, he's got some nasty ass farts, man. And like, if I'm holding him and I'm like, you know, petting him, and he's like upside down and he just lets one rip right in my face, it's just a little rough. That does not endear you to an animal, I'll tell you that much. So hopefully that goes away fairly soon. He has not done it when anyone else has visited and pet him, so I don't know if it's just like he's so comfortable with me that his sphincter just relaxes. I don't know what it is, man, but they're noxious. But other than that, he's a sweet little tiny kitten, and I'm really glad I have him.
Piccolo? So the power I felt was coming from you, huh? Oh, yeah.
Why is he sliding?
On our side now, which is perfect. That means you can really help me out.
What is he doing? Okay, leave it. Let's see. This week on the Exploring series.
Let me try out some of my moves on you. You fighting me? You're dumber than you look. Well, you're looking at the new and improved Yamcha, thanks to Kami. Huh, is that so? Yeah, Kami says I gotta fight someone stronger than me now. But, you know, I'm thinking I could even beat you now.
He couldn't.
I'm not about to get left in Goku's dust again. Buckle up, buddy, because you're in for a real challenge. Fine, but don't blame me if you die.
This week on the Exploring series, I released a video on...
Of course I do. You're the guy who fought Goku in the World Tournament. I was there too.
What the fuck is happening? Fuck off with your spirit ball. Dude, the fuck, Yamcha?
I think I do remember you. You're the loser that couldn't beat Kami disguised as a human.
Yeah, fucking Yamcha.
Maybe now you realize how powerless you actually are. Give me a break.
This week on the Exploring series. We released a video. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'll get to it. Are we cool yet? That's what it was. Dude, I put up that fucking guard. That's bullshit. Yeah, are we cool yet? I wasn't,
Obvious now. What's going on? I should be better than this. You're not too bright.
This was really like the first... Well, no, not the first. But I definitely noticed a bunch of comments on that video that are like, why didn't you mention this one? Why didn't you mention this SCP? Usually, most of the comments are people that are not too knowledgeable about the group of interest. But I was surprised that plenty of people apparently knew and really wanted to see certain ones. And basically my...
Don't feel too bad. You're
what I
still
do
alive, aren't you? That's something.
For something like that, for a group of interest,
Different approach to your training.
or sort of a compilation topic.
Come on, don't count me out just yet. I've got what it takes.
Is there's a site called Skipper, SCPPER, and with that you can search by any tag.
Ooh, the energy from this thing is incredible.
And then you can organize that list by the number of votes. So it's sort of ranking. And this lets you see, like, if I search, you go for the tag, are we cool yet? You can see what the highest rated page is with the tag, are we cool yet? And the second highest and third highest and so on. And so this saves me a lot of time from actually, like, going through them one by one. Because it's like, I just don't have time to read everything. And it's a little unfair because it's, tends to skew towards older articles.
Looks like someone wants to die.
There could be a new article that's really good, but it only has like 10 votes on it. In which case it basically gets ignored by me, even though it could be really good. But this saves me a lot of time because I can just see, okay, this is clearly a well-liked article. And that doesn't mean I'll take it. I mean, that doesn't mean I'll use it automatically. That just means I'll read it. And then I'll decide. And so then I'll keep going down. I'll keep reading the highest rated stuff down and down and down until I have enough to fill a video. So people clamoring and wondering, like, why didn't you include this? The bottom line is it wasn't that highly rated. I didn't get around to it.
Looks like someone wants to.
It's unfair, and I obviously it's not a perfect system. In a perfect world, I would read everything and probably include everything for an hour-long video every time, but that's just not how it works. I guess the hope is that people watching the video look at the comment section, they see a bunch of people mentioning this other SCP. Why didn't you include this? And then they go read that one themselves. It's not perfect, but that's the way it is. Either way, view-wise, it did all right, so I can't complain. And then this week, I worked on SCP-4001, Alexandria Eternal.
Looks like someone wants to die.
I did a lot of videos for various SCP-3000 contest entries. Every time there's the big number, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and now 5,000, they do a contest to determine which article becomes the new, big round number. So, like, Ananta Shesha, SCP-3000, that was the winner of the SCP-3000 contest, and that's why it became 3,000. All the other contest entries typically, well, the good ones, they all become other numbers. The 3001 3001 was a contest entry. 3002 was a contest entry. So on and so
Looks like
forth.
someone wants to die.
3,999, I think, was a contest entry. So I've actually done a bunch of videos on 3,000 contest entries that became SCPs. I did a handful on 2,000, and I think really this is like only my second 4,000 one. 4,999 was included in a video, but it didn't get its own video. And now with the 5,000, people have been asking, like, are you going to make a video about the contest? And it's like, well, no. I mean, that not only would that be unfair, because I wouldn't be able to really go into detail about many of them at all, but it's just sort of counterintuitive. Once the contest is over, everything's ranked, I'll of course do a video on the winner on SCP-5000. But I'll probably do a bunch of videos on other entries that have become SCPs. There's a bunch of good ones in there. A bunch of them are really lengthy, which is what I like to see for videos. So yeah, there's going to be a slew of 5,000 entries once the contest is over. But anyways, SCP-4001 was a SCP-4000 contest entry. Pretty decent video, I think. It's fairly lengthy, too. It's like 28 minutes or so. Can't complain.
Whoa, Piccolo! Hey, you're looking stronger than usual.
Yeah, I trained at Kami's place.
I also am working on a video for Dungeons and Dragons about demons and devils and the differences between the two. You know, I was planning on first doing the Drow video, but I'm waiting to hear back from that musician who's making some custom music for me for this Drow video. So I'll have to blare it so I can really highlight it.
So, you want to see what I can do?
You don't look too confident. I can tell this won't go well for you.
Can you blame me? I mean, I was killed by a demon clan member once before. You guys freaked me out.
Pathetic. Guess I'll just have to beat that fear out of you. Come at me.
Why, you? Here goes!
Then I also point out how bullshit it is that this game launched in like 2020
You and I have fought each other
with no
before.
ultra-wide support.
Yeah, we'll be back during the world tournament.
What? Is that all you can do? Let's see if you've gotten any better.
Not done yet!
Special beam cannon!
So, you know, a fan had to put together a little program to patch the game and add ultra-wide support. And of course, when that, it's usually not perfect when a fan has to do it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Shit.
As far as your technique, movement, and power go, you're not that bad.
I've been training since the last time we fought.
Just damn cool, man.
You're actually pretty strong.
I think you pretty much figured it out.
Anyways. So I guess that is it for the Exploring series.
Not bad. You actually.
I have to
held
stop
your own.
getting into fights, because otherwise this video will be 2 hours long.
Thanks, I guess.
Looks like you're doing something right in your training.
Okay, yeah, I think I got this.
If you don't want to die a second time, then you need to train more. Do that, and maybe I'll view you as more than just a waste of space.
Hey, I'll show you.
See, when I was younger, it was just like,
Master Roshi, just like Goku. Which means I'm gonna get stronger. Just you wait.
being in martial arts, it was like, yeah, we gotta train more. We gotta get stronger. Yeah! You know, it was just, in a weird way, Dragon Ball Z was some motivation.
Whoa, this power is amazing.
Anyways, on this channel, as predicted, we had Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition and Metroid Prime. The final Baldur's Gate 2 video will be going up tomorrow, I believe. Metroid Prime, I think there's like 4 or 5 more videos or something like that. But then it's rolling into Metroid Prime 2. Actually, no, it's rolling into Metroid Fusion. I'm sorry. Which is only about 7 videos long. And then Metroid Prime 2. And then Metroid Prime 3, which I just finished recording the other day. And I'm going to start recording Metroid Other M. So, plenty of Metroid in the future. It's all cock, lock, and ready to rock. So I hope you like Metroid, especially Metroid Prime games.
Looks like someone wants to die.
As for Baldur's Gate 2, once that finishes, I'll be rolling into Noita. I recorded the first video for it. You know, it's a roguelite. It's an early access, and it's very difficult. So I can't guarantee that I'll finish the game as part of the Let's Play. But there's going to be at least a handful of videos for it. You know, if it gets to a point where some other game comes out that I really want to record, and I'm still struggling with Noita, then we'll probably just call it. But if I don't have anything else, that's what it is.
Energy from this thing is incredible.
Yeah, I especially love this fucking run. Like, this is like the Flash video game, but you get to play as Dragon Ball Z character.
Whoa, this
Great.
power is amazing.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for Mangg's LPs. Nothing crazy exciting, but that's how we do it. I did consider, you know, Legends of Runeterra went into open beta recently. That's the new card game from Riot Games, who make League of Legends. So it involves like their League of Legends lore, I guess,
Looks like
and
someone wants to
characters.
die.
I don't know anything about that, but I've been playing it a little bit. For a digital card game, it's honestly really slick. Like production values and design and everything, it's probably the best other than Hearthstone.
I'm not gonna visit commies anytime soon. No, not this way.
It's really well put together from what I saw. And like the monetization part of it seems pretty solid at this point. I fucking one-shotted him. Damn. Get fucked. So I was pondering making a video about it. I'm not sure. Maybe, you know, people really wanted it. I could make a video about it. I just don't know how much I'm going to play it. You know, card games at this point in time, it's sort of a tough sell. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool right now when everything's still basic and there's not that many cards, but over time, the same thing happens to all these card games. I'm gonna lose interest, but I don't know. Just blasting through rock. Oh my god. This is a fucking superhero game, man. Anyways. Blasted.
Wow, this tree has been here a long time.
What the fuck?
This'll end it.
No, it won't end it. What the fuck? How are you stronger than Piccolo? You piece of shit. Alright, roll Mangg. I actually have 2 sessions to talk about. We finally had another family RPG night. But let's talk about our usual session. The where were we? We're still in Stanton. Shockingly, it's getting pretty close. About time to leave, I think. And we're really like gearing up. We're really just ready to head out. We didn't exactly unite the entire town, but it didn't seem like that was going to happen. So the only real thing left was this last castle that we haven't gone inside. We haven't talked to the Lord Vincent or whatever. He's sequestered himself inside of his castle. No one has seen him for a while. And he's been ordering all these black curtains, these thick, heavy curtains coming in. Something is mysterious going on here. And so we're sick of this. We're just gonna barge in and see what the hell he's doing. So we walk up to the gate. Our group, as well as Mert's like 51 soldiers that follow him. And we of course demand to be let in. And we can do this the easy way or the real easy way.
Ooh, the energy from this thing is incredible.
It's up to you 2 gate guards. They don't seem to want to just stand aside, though. So Thomas teleport. Nah, he rides a lightning bolt next to one and just slaughters one of them. And I disarm the other guy, who agrees to let us in. At that point, he tells us that, if we go in there with all 51 of our soldiers and stuff and charge in, there's just going to be this huge bloodbath. So he asks us to let him go in first and bring out
Looks like someone wants to die.
the daughter of the Lord, who can explain the situation to us. And I read his mind and I ascertain he's telling the truth. He goes in, comes back out with the lady, who tells us that
Looks like someone wants to die.
her father is being controlled by a powerful vampire who is living in the castle and is taking control of most of the nobles of his court and all that. So she asks us to take care of this vampire, but to not harm her father in the process. Okay, I mean, that's a task. That's a problem that needs to be solved. And I figure this will be quick and easy and we'll just do it and get it done with.
Looks like someone wants to die.
And my plan... What the hell?
Looks like someone wants to die. I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do this. So that's all, huh?
My plan is to walk in there, present the snow globe, the magical snow globe we have, to the Lord as like a tribute. And then, presuming the vampire is like standing right there, I just telekinesis the snow globe and activate it, and the vampire gets sucked in there, and then we just take it outside into the sunlight, and we just let him out, and he burns to death, and it's all good. That's the basic plan, which might have worked if I had not said it out loud so that Ziggy could fuck it up. Which is, you know, a DM's prerogative.
Sup?
So when we go in there, we do see the Lord sitting on his throne, and we see a bunch of nobles. But after doing some read minds, I find out that the vampire is sitting by himself off in a corner, which fucks up the whole plan. There's really no good way to do this now. The the great hall of this lord, all the windows have been covered with very thick, heavy curtains. So there's no light in here except for like some torches.
Looks like someone. I'll make quick work of you.
And if it was just the vampire and some nobles and stuff, that'd be one thing.
So that's all, huh?
There's also a large number of guards hanging about. You know, well-armed, well-armored guards. And it's like, we could handle maybe the vampire in straight combat. Nobles wouldn't be much of a problem.
I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do this.
But the vampire, some nobles, and a bunch of
So that's all.
guards. That's... If this were D&D, if this were like 4th edition D&D, I might have attempted it. I might have given it a shot. You know, you're much more likely to survive things in D&D. Shadow the Demon Lord, though, we would all end up very dead. So it's a bit of a meta sense, but I think it's more realistic, and I think that's fine.
Hey! Hey!
Dude, there's something up with this dragon. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to do with it. He doesn't give a shit about anything. So I decided, you know, let's retreat and live to fight another day. But we were already standing in the Lord's Hall, so we needed to be a little careful about this, otherwise we might be dead either way. Because they actually took most of our weapons when we entered the hall. They took Mert's weapon, they took Gyro's bow. Thomas left his weapon, but he can teleport it to him. So that's fine. My weapon is just like a staff. So they left an old man his walking stick. So it really was not a good situation. So I did end up giving him the snow globe because this was before I learned where the vampire was. So I gave up the snow globe, unfortunately. But then I was just like, he invited us to dinner, and I'm like, fuck that. I basically said that we had heard rumors that there was trouble in this castle, dark trouble, but it seems that all is well, and if there's no trouble here, we have more pressing matters. But, we appreciate the offer. I tried to be as diplomatic as I could about it.
I'm not gonna visit commies anytime soon.
And in the end, he let us go.
Wasting my time
We got our
with
weapons back and we left.
Looks like someone wants to die. I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do this. This'll end it. Don't kill yourself. You could never beat me.
So, the matter is, this vampire's locked up in this castle. We gotta kill him, but we also don't want to kill the father, the actual lord. Because, that's what good guys do.
This ought to be of some use.
So, how do we do that? How do you kill a powerful vampire in a castle surrounded by his mind-controlled subjects?
Looks like someone wants to die.
Obviously, the answer here is we need to draw him out. Now, if we could draw him out into the sun, that would be fantastic. But that's so unlikely that it can't even enter our plans, really. The situation in which that would arise is practically impossible to create. So, okay, we're not going to get him out in the sunlight, but we might get him out in the night by himself, and we can ambush him, 5-on-1 or 55-on-1, whatever.
I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do this. So that's all, huh?
The first thought was simply, okay, we stake out the castle at night and we wait to see, like, a bat leave or something. We wait to see something fly out and then we follow it. And we had Hubert, our little smart rabbit, go to the library and, like... This might just be decoration. Decoration. We had him read about vampires, but it seems that somebody went to the library and removed every book about vampires. Interesting. But fortunately, we had a backup because I had this meditation chamber that I've been using that Ziggy basically says is like Cerebro. And so I used that to gain a bunch of knowledge about vampires.
Looks like someone wants to die.
And I learned that its only actual weakness is sunlight, which is very debilitating. All the other stuff like garlic, running water, looking in the mirror, or holy symbols, those are all like irrational fears. They don't actually hurt them, but vampires believe that they hurt them to an irrational degree. I think if you actually make a vampire character in Shadow the Demon Lord, I think you pick like one of those, and that's your irrational fear. So a vampire player character might have an irrational fear of just garlic. and that's like really debilitating if they come near garlic. But all the other stuff, they don't have any problem
This
with.
thing is incredible.
But okay, for this vampire, it's all of it. It's everything. Talking about books, have I heard or read Stormlight Archive series? Yes, fantastic book series. Can't wait for the next one. One of my favorite book series, easily.
Looks like
And
someone wants
I
to
can't
die.
I can't wait to eventually do an exploring series about the Stormlight Archive. Now is not the time. You know, I really think it probably has to wait until the whole series is done for it to be a proper exploring, because otherwise, you know, I don't want to have to go back and like redo videos or ads to, you know, I want it to all be complete. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Anyways, right, vampires. So yeah, if we could get him out in the sunlight, it would be great, but we're not going to plan around that. So I thought about, you know, we have this city, this town of Stanton,
Looks like someone wants to die.
where there are temples to like every different deity. There's, you know, there's like 8 different deities that have temples here. What if we get
Not gonna visit commies anytime soon.
What if we get all the priests we can from every different temple and we bring them together to like consecrate the castle and turn it into holy ground? You know, one priest couldn't do that, I don't think. But if we get a whole slew of them from all the different deities, that might be enough to like, even if it like is the appearance
Nothing but a waste of time up ahead. Trying to-
of consecration, enough that
Looks like someone wants
this
to die.
vampire's irrational fear kicks in, and he flees just because, you know, these all these priests. So luckily, Mert's character is very close with the priests of Cordan. So he went to them, told them the plan. They were on board, and they sent messages to all the other temples to get together for this. So we didn't get all the temples, but we got a whole bunch of priests. And I had Artemis function as a priest of Nihilus because there's no temple to Nihilus. And the plan was we were going to march up, we were going to get into the inner courtyard. We were going to have the priests do their thing, and then Gyro was going to wait at a further distance and be the lookout to see anything fly out, like a bat, and then she was going to shoot it. I mean, that really was not part of my plan, because honestly, I didn't think she would ever be able to shoot a bat flying at night. I mean, that's absurd. But, you know, it's Ziggy's wife, so he'd probably permit it.
Can't waste time.
Otherwise, just, you know, follow it wherever it goes, and then we'll ambush it when it stops. So to get into the inner courtyard, there were a few guards there. There's like 4 guards standing there now. But, you know, I have the ability to fly, which is sort of handy. So I basically just flew over them and swooped down underneath them, to where the gate was, and the gate crank. And I just started cranking, and as soon as I did, all the 51 guards rushed in, and we very easily took over the inner courtyard. The priests and Artemis began doing their thing, consecrating the castle, and pretty soon, Gyro saw a bat fly out.
Looks like someone wants to die.
And, of course, she took a shot at it. And she hit it. Not once. She actually hit it twice. Because Ziggy did not really put almost any penalty on the shot at all. I feel like if Mert had tried to make that shot, there would have been severe penalties, but this is, you know, this is what happens when couples play D&D. Now, fortunately, she's on our side, so I can't begrudge it too much, but the thing is, you know, I have to make plans based around logic. So,
Someone wants to die.
you know, I would never make a plan that involves her shooting a bat at night while it's flying, because logic would not dictate, unless we're
Looks
playing
like
Godbound
someone
or
wants to
something.
die. I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do this. Special beam cannon!
You dodged the special beam cannon. Anyways, she shoots the bat down. He turns back into his vampire form. We all charge at him. And that's where the session ended, because Murden had left. So next time, I'm sure we'll wallop the vampire pretty handily. I mean, we have like, there's 55 of us versus him. Probably won't be a problem. And hopefully by then, we'll be wrapped up in Stanton and we'll head out to go get our airship. As for the other RPG session this week with my family, there's a little bit of turmoil. You know, when we play in our normal sessions, we're all pretty much on the same board as far as like the tone of a campaign and how we want to handle situations. I mean, sometimes, of course, I go off the deep end, you know, with nuclear weapons or whatever. But usually, you know, before we play a campaign, like most groups should do, we sort of sit there and discuss, like, okay, do we want to be all good guys? Do we want to be, you know, what sort of group are we? What exactly are we doing here? Blah, blah, you know, there's some discussion. And it's a rookie mistake for RPG groups to not have those kinds of discussions before you go into a campaign, to sort of set the tone of the whole thing. I would say part of the problem is sometimes people's personalities when they're playing an RPG just don't, you know, they clash.
Looks like someone wants to die. Low on energy.
So, you know, my sister, who's a big fan of like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, all she really wants is like a Lord of the Rings type RPG campaign. That's what she wants out of an RPG, is Lord of the Rings. So there's some comedy sometimes, but mostly it's pretty serious, heroic fantasy, which is fun. My aunt, however, who's never seen Lord of the Rings, doesn't really care about any sort of heroic fantasy, and is more into like gangster movies and stuff. It's more of like a big joke. She really does not care whatsoever about playing a hero or a good character. And these philosophies clash. I don't know what to really do about that. I don't think either one is really going to change. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't. Maybe at some point one of them will just get fed up and stop, but hard to say. So they're on Hot Springs Island. They're trying to get treasure.
Looks like someone wants to die.
My sister was playing a magic user. She decided she really didn't want to play a magic user. So she went back to just playing a ranger. So now the group has no magic user. Which for me, you know, when I'm playing, it's unthinkable. Because, you know, how can you solve every problem without having some magic? But, you know, to each their own, I suppose. And they're basically bumbling around trying to find treasure because they have this curse and they need treasure to remove the curse. And it seems like they keep hoping to just like stumble upon it. They keep hoping they'll just hear about some like great treasure that's just like buried in the ground and they just dig it up. These people are not exceptional problem solvers. And so it's sort of unfortunate to have me as a DM because I so adore the overall solving of problems. It's what I play RPGs for. So it's unthinkable to me to offer anything that isn't a problem. And you know, like I've said, the reason I love Ziggy as a DM is because he throws such open-ended problems at us and expects us to just find a way to solve them against all odds or whatever. That's what I like. And so it's just really weird for me to DM and just be like, oh yeah, there's mounds of treasure here. Just go there and fight this one thing and then you'll get it and you'll save the day. It's just
Looks like someone wants to die.
it's just weird. So they had, you know, I gave them multiple opportunities throughout the session to come across and obtain treasure, but none of it was free. You know, it was all behind some sort of problem. The session started, we picked up where we left off with my sister's character in the volcano where all the salamanders are mining crystals. And she had used magic to transform herself into a salamander. It didn't really make sense because she was no longer a magic user, but whatever. The problem was, and this is definitely a problem that I had when I started playing, is this inclination to split the party. Nowadays, I really abhor splitting the party. I used to love it, you know, any situation that came up, I love splitting the party because I always liked, you know, handling situations
Looks like someone wants
through
to
my
die.
own prowess, you know, with no one else there to help me. I liked that. But now I almost never like to do it. And I really dislike when anyone else purposefully splits away from the party. Because it just really makes the evening, the session, way less fun for everyone. And it's like, yeah, you get your time to shine. I know. I understand.
Looks like someone wants to die.
But it basically means everyone gets like 45
Say
minutes
it's about time to take
of a
break.
one-on-one session. That's not as good as of all of us being together for 3 hours. And my family learned that lesson very clearly the other day, because my sister was by herself for like an hour or so, and then she died, and she had to make a new character, and they had to keep waiting as she got a new character together. Oh no, she was a magic user until she died. That's what happened. And then she made her ranger. That's what happened. So we sort of hand wave things, and her new character just jumped right in with the party, and whatever. Let's finally move on.
Looks like someone wants to die.
So they come across like this giant dire boar's den, and they go in there. They go in there because they found it and they figured there'd be treasure in there, and so they did. And they ended up immediately at the entrance pulling out this like fairly expensive looking harpoon out of the wall. So they got some treasure. They continued on. They dealt with this like super magnetic boulder. And then they ended up finding like an obsidian battle axe. And at that point they decided to just leave. They didn't want to fight anything. They got some treasure. It's good. Like I said, they really don't want any problems. They just want treasure. And it's just like, why don't I just slap down a button that says you win? And then we call it quits. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't understand. They continued on. They ran into some woman who is a powerful spellcaster who's been wandering the island, researching various things. She led them to this magical tree that's possessed by some extra-dimensional entity that is very witty. And normally this thing would have a conversation with them, but they were perfectly happy to have this woman talk to it for them. And it's like, okay, whatever. But this entity gave them a task in exchange for treasure. All they have to do is this task, and they get free treasure. So, of course, they were interested. And the task, as outlined in the campaign book, is something like practically impossible or nonsense. The task was to capture the bottled laugh of a newborn siren.
Dinosaurs used to be so big, hard to believe.
Which I think without some magic is probably impossible. But with magic, you know, anything's possible. So they discuss getting this newborn siren laugh. They talk to this spellcaster woman. She says if you manage to get a newborn siren and bring him to her,
Looks like someone wants to die.
I think like she gives them like some jar, and if they use the jar, they could capture it. I give them like everything they need. If all they have to do is find a siren and a newborn siren, and they could get this.
Looks like someone wants to die.
And if they found like a family of sirens, I would be even more accommodating, and there would be a newborn right there. And they wouldn't even have to like kidnap it or anything. They could just talk to the sirens maybe and be diplomatic and be like, "Look, we just want to hear your newborn laugh." You know, it would be suspicious, but it's all possible. They decide that it's not worth it. They don't want to do it. So I have the spellcaster woman. They even ask this woman outright. They just ask her, it's like, do you have any treasure you could give us? It's like, what the fuck? I can't fathom this.
Looks like someone wants to die.
You have some treasure you could give us. Yes, here's 10 billion gold. You win the game. Do you feel satisfied? I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. So she says, no, I don't have any to give you, but you could earn it. So I have her give them a task. And the task she gives them is basically, okay, on the island, which used to be like this elven civilization before a cataclysm, there's the cataclysm occurred. There were all these Nereids. They were like these water women, you know, and they had put on a concert for these elves, but the elves betrayed them and like captured all these Nereids by turning them into paintings, by containing them in all these paintings. So these paintings are like across the island in different places, and each one contains a different Nereid. And so the remaining Nereids on the island are trying to regain all these paintings, but other people are also interested in them for different reasons. And so I decided that this spellcaster woman, for her own reasons that she's not going to divulge, she wants these paintings as well. And one of these paintings is being held in the hut of the ogre leader. There's a bunch of ogres living on the island. They used to be slaves. Now they're not slaves. They'll talk to humans. They're not like insane aggressive or anything. But the leader has one of these paintings. She wants the paintings. She's pissed off the ogres for, again, reasons she won't divulge. So she wants them to go and get the painting from the leader. They can steal it. They can trade for it. They can work for it. However they want to do to get this painting. If they bring it back to her, she will reward them with treasure. And they decide, okay, this is maybe manageable. The leader's hut in this ogre village is nearby. So they set out to go get it. On the way, they camp out for the night, and I roll a random encounter. And the random encounter is that they encounter one earth imp, which is there's these creatures there's all sorts of imps across the whole island, but earth imps are like, all they want to do is just talk and make friends. They're basically like, they're like Winnie the Pooh. They look like Winnie the Pooh if he was made out of like dirt. And all they do is just wander the island, and they talk to everyone, and they're just super friendly and sort of clueless. And so I had this thing approach them and very quickly become friendly. And a couple of them didn't trust him at first, but my mom and my sister, of course, just love this guy. And he's super friendly, and he's friends with some of the ogres. He will help them go talk to the ogres. And he knows much about the island, and he certainly comes off as a little clueless, but he's friendly, and they haven't met anyone really that friendly. So they let him join up. And of course his name is Gulk. So Gulk leads them to the ogre village. They talk to the lookout there. They're like, we want a painting that's held, your leader has. And this is not like open knowledge, so it's sort of suspicious to see a bunch of adventurers, humans coming out of the forest, out of the jungle, looking for this painting that their leader has in his hut. But they go get the leader, Glavrock, who's a pretty ferocious looking ogre. He's mostly peaceful, but he can kick your ass. And so they explain that they want to trade for the painting, blah blah blah. They want the painting, and he's like, "How do you know about the painting? Why are you trying to get this painting?" And they know that he's not at all friends with this woman that hired them. So they don't want to mention the woman. But they're really bad at coming up with stories or lies. I mean, you could come up with 1,000 different stories about why they heard about this painting and why they want it. You can make anything up. They decide to just take the exact truth and just change the name of the woman, to the name of someone else. But they don't just make up a name. They use the name of the squire, my sister's squire that has been traveling with them, who is traveling with them at that moment. they use his name. And he is like knowledgeable enough, and he does not really like the group because they like constantly are making fun of him and like just insulting him out loud and stuff like my aunt especially. Like I said, everything's a joke. So she's really not respectful of this guy whatsoever. So he does not like them. So they just use his name. And this guy has never heard of this person, Lincoln. He's never heard, this ogre's never heard of him. He's wondering why this random guy knows about his painting and wants his painting. And also why he doesn't come himself to ask about the painting. Why he sends these adventurers in his stead. And so he's really just... They thought that he would just be like, sure, yeah, you could have my painting, but he's asking questions. What the hell? Who does this ogre think he is? And so they turned to Gulk, who said that he was friends with the ogres. He's like, Gulk, can you help smooth this out? And Gulk's just like, well, isn't that Lincoln right there? And he points to the squire. And so Glavrock is, of course, like, what, you're Lincoln? Why did you not speak up? Why do you want my painting? And so it's like, it was a perfect situation where Gulk was clueless enough to point out Lincoln because they used his name for some absurd fucking reason. And Lincoln does not like the group, so he's just like, look, I'm Lincoln, but they're lying to you. They were hired by a woman named Ada. And he's like, what? What? You know, because he knows her. He knows her name, and he doesn't like her at all. So he basically says, get the fuck out of here. I won't have anything to do with her. She's never getting my painting, blah, blah, blah. So, through a combination of really all of their own efforts, they have no one else to blame. They've fucked this whole deal up. And they could try and steal the painting now, but any sort of diplomatic option is sort of out the window, which is a problem because the Night Axe ogres on the island could actually be a big ally if they went down that route, but it's tricky now. They had all the knowledge and tools necessary to really make this work, but they failed. They failed. And I don't think I, like, unfairly screwed them over. I think, I followed logic here. They knew Gulk was clueless about many things. They asked him anyways for help. And I just don't know why they used the name of the squire as part of their lie. You could use, Fred. You could just use, you could use any name in the world, but they lose. Yeah, I don't get it. So anyways, they went away from the ogres. They went back to the woman. They said, oh, he's not giving up the painting, blah, blah, blah. And so throughout the session, they heard a few times from Gulk, and now they heard from this woman about how there's plenty of treasure in the elven ruins to the south, in the former Hot Springs City. It's very dangerous, but there's a lot of treasure there, which is the truth. And so Ada told them a few things about the city, not much, and they decided, screw it, we'll just go down to the city. So they went down, they're traveling down to the south to the city, and that's pretty much where we ended. They didn't accomplish a whole lot, but yeah, it's a little frustrating. Because it's like, none of them are really good enough to handle the problems that I'm throwing at them. But if any of them DM'd, they would not be able to handle me as a player. So it's tricky. It's just tricky, man. Because I just can't handle DMing probably like the simple campaign that they're looking for. Like, that does not interest me in whatsoever. Where they just go around and just like beat things up with no threats whatsoever. Like, yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, that's about it. We went quite a bit over an hour. But when you got 2 RPG sessions to talk about, that's what happens. So check out the SCP-4001 video tomorrow. Demons and Devils later this week. Got the end of Baldur's Gate 2, the start of Noida, and more Metroid on the way. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. See you fine folks next week.